So, this is about functional alcoholics and also good parents. Now, many of us have varying opinions about what makes a good parent. Shannon Alvarado is a functional alcoholic. That's important. Her kids are not beaten by Shannon. They're not threatened by Shannon. They're not smacked around by Shannon. Shannon does love her children. There's also other people who were a part of my story that had their own issues as well. Now, there's a woman named Harley who was a very big part of many of the decisions that I made for the safety of others and their children. She's also doing better now. In Chapel, Nebraska, you can't have any signs that you're imperfect or you will be judged into the ground. I don't know how to express how important it is to be honest. How important it is to understand how your drug use or your alcoholism affects those around you. Once you accept that, once you accept that these things do affect those around you, be it your children, your spouse, guests in your household, you can take steps to change it. You can take steps to do the right thing. But if you can't even admit that you're having a problem, you're not going to take any of those steps. If you're an alcoholic and you can't admit that you have a problem with alcohol, you're not going to take the steps to recover from your alcoholism. And those around you are going to grow up with it. And they're going to tell stories about their alcoholic mother or father, or their drug addicted mother or father. Not easy, is it? It's not easy to fess up to how your decisions and your addictions affect those around you, is it? Now, with Harley, she's doing a lot better. I do feel that it is important because I did speak her name before. I did speak about how the things with her affected me. And yes, she very much was hurt by that. It did hurt her emotionally. She didn't like it. She did not like the attention. But she also said, you know, it's not like everybody in town didn't already know what happened. You know? She was offering to have me stay in a trailer. That's right, even after the things that I said. She offered to let me stay in a trailer, but the thing is, me, her, and her baby daddy already agreed a long time ago that the children need to come first. And if I'm staying in that camper, they can use that to, well, they can use that against those people to try to take their kids, take them to CPS and the like. And I gotta tell you, I've never seen either one of those two ever smack their kids either. I've never seen Shannon Alvarado get violent with anybody. Now, those of you who want to argue over violence, when I'm talking about violence, I'm talking about physical violence. Now, that's not to say that these people don't discipline their children. by whatever means they happen to deem appropriate. But being physically violent is not what they do. Shannon Alvarado, her son is pretty well adjusted, when I was there anyway. I mean, he did have some issues, just like all kids do. New person coming into the house, and of course, according to Shannon, her son absolutely loves me, which, well, most kids do. Now, there's a lot of things that I've had to do to try to get children safe. I've never had to do anything to try to get Harley's children safe. I got to give her a ride to the next town over from Chapel, and she still didn't really like me at that point, you know. But I did give her a ride. I was going to give her a ride all the way to the hospital in Sydney so she could deliver her baby. So I guess I did have to do something to help get her safe and help get her kids safe. But that wasn't something that she was trying to do harmful to her children. That's not something that her baby daddy was trying to do to harm the children. She was getting ready to have the baby. Now, my personal opinions on the matter are pretty much arbitrary at this point. The fact is that the children, as I have seen, they do not have poor sexual boundaries. They are not physically violent with one another. They aren't constantly screaming and shouting hateful things at each other. And that does reflect on the environment that they live in. That does reflect on the environment that they're being raised in. And be damned what Chapel, Nebraska thinks. If Harley needs my help, she'll get it. I like her. I've always liked her. When I first met her, she was working at one of the convenience stores in Chapel, Nebraska, and she was sarcastic. Oh my God, dry humor. I love dry humor. Now, can I verify that she's drinking or not drinking? No, I can't. I don't want to go over to her house and interrupt her family life. I want her to do good for herself and good for her children. Her and the baby daddy, well, who has perfect parents? I certainly don't. But when you admit to your faults, you admit that you screwed up, my God, yes, you've got me on your side. You've got me in your corner. When the kids come first, you have me in your corner for that as well. Now, obviously, there are a great many addicts that I have known that are done with that part of their life. There's also a lot of them that claim that they're sober and are not. There's Mandy Singer, and I've probably said Mandy Hughes a few times. If I did, I do apologize. There's a few Mandys that I've interacted with through this. There's a few Jamies that I've interacted with through this, and sometimes I say the wrong last name. I apologize for that. There are a lot of people to try to remember. Mandy Singer, she was an addict. She admits that when I first went to her for help, the issues of homelessness and addiction were preventing her from being able to help me, or even from helping herself. And of course, there's a lot of people that did horrible things to me, never made any amends, and I still tried to help them. Like when Natalie Bollinger disappeared, I was trying to give her all of my money to try to get her safe. That's pretty important. with her family life and her family situation. Yeah, I knew that getting her safe as soon as possible was the most important thing. She was still alive, by the way, when I sent that video. She wasn't killed until the 29th. Over 12 hours after I first got the notification that she had disappeared. Now, with Mandy Singer, there are situations with her family that obviously she's admitted to. Obviously, you know, family does need to come first, and she is setting her family first. When it comes to child care, you know what, if you're the only person who can provide that in your family, yes, absolutely. Even if that means I gotta go to the back burner. But also, at least admit to it, and she does. I'm not gonna go sit there and play hall monitor at Mandy's. I'm not gonna go sit and play hall monitor at Shannon's. I'm not gonna go sit and play hall monitor at any of these places. And a lot of people did invite me into their houses, invite me into their places. Also, a lot of people want to pretend that they didn't do this, that, and the other after the fact. And then they want to believe that just because they say it, that I didn't already take the screenshots. Really? See, I didn't know how to take screenshots before Natalie was killed. If I'd have known how to take screenshots, there's a possibility I could have stopped this by myself. Now, how do you take a screenshot? The on and off button and the lower part of the volume button at the same time. Now, I'd read that. I'd done research to try to be able to do that. But of course, whenever I did it, it would either give me the option of either restart my phone, power off, or there's one other one, or it would adjust my volume. And I'm like, it doesn't work. Obviously, it's not working. If that doesn't work, there's probably a different way to do it. Well, it just turned out I didn't do it right. My fingers didn't touch the buttons at exactly the right time, or whatever else it happened to be. It just wasn't working. Now, when I was showed how to do it, that was after Natalie was already dead. And that's horrible. After spending an entire year trying to get help stopping the abuse, trying to stop the threats and the harassment towards me, so that I could go see positive people. Shannon Alvarado's was not positive. That was not a positive environment. You get to see how somebody who is disabled, somebody who is an at-risk adult, needs support, needs actual support, not people to blow them off, not people to tell them over and over again that it's not going to work. If you make no effort, you're right, it won't work. If I need you to speak up and you're making excuses for 3 weeks or 3 months or 3 years while you can't speak up, you're not helping me. Now, obviously, I'm not going to call Miss Harley or Miss Mandy alcoholics. Now, I get that a lot of people have this thing in their head where, oh, well, you know, once you're addicted to it, even if you've been sober for 20 years, you're still an alcoholic. Even if you're sober for 20 years, you're still a drug addict. Well, not really. If you're able to quit, you're not an addict, you're a recovering addict. And a recovering addict is very different. And as a result, I'm not going to call them addicts. Now, with Mandy, she admits to her addictions. She admits that they are addictions, and she admits that, well, she's done with it. She also admits that it is important for those things to come out. If those things are affecting someone who has sensory processing issues, that's where this is important. Shannon Alvarado and her screaming with Rick McCormick did affect my sensory processing issues. It scared the shit out of me. Plus the fact that I had to wait on Graham to send the things that he was going to send that he did finally send. Thank goodness. Now with a lot of these people, they're dealing with their own depression and so on and so forth. They're dealing with their own family issues, and the children always do need to come first. There's a lot of situations that because of my situation, it's damn near impossible to turn in predators. It's damn near impossible to get the cops to look, to take it seriously. They just assume that you're mentally retarded, or that you're a no-good lowlife because you're homeless. And people want to poke that button, don't they? You goddamn right they do. As far as victimizing people, yeah, no. A lot of these people didn't do horrible things intentionally. They did things because they were addicted, or they did things because they fell asleep, or they did things because they had to take care of their own families. But they also should have come forward with that. Brett Roloff, he admitted to a great many of the things that I had said. And although I had recordings of many of those situations, it's a lot easier that he admitted to it. I also pulled a magic little trick that I learned. And what is that magic little trick? It's called hide user on this channel. These people have to find a new venue. But, of course, before I did that, I'll show you this here. I saved the evidence. See, we'll go to here, we'll go to photos, and of course, I'll go backwards again. I did record the stuff between them before hiding them on this channel. There's a lot on here, messages and screenshots and so on and the like. And I could do that for a while, actually. If Brett needs my help, I'm going to help him. If Harley needs my help, I'm going to help her. If Shannon needs my help, she'll get my help. That doesn't mean that she didn't do horrible things, or things that are questionable, or things that are wrong. Now, with a lot of these people, Brett Roloff, for example, the things that he did made a very credible, well, threat towards me, an open-ended threat. That sucks. Now, of course, you've got what's called a bad reading. See, that's the problem with writing it down instead of listening to the actual evidence. In the tone, you can hear when he's talking about coming and visiting me. This time, anyway, it's in a very threatening tone. Now, I could try to go to the police with it, but this is somebody that I love and care about very much. The fact that he admitted to his drug use, is important. The fact that he blamed it on me is also important. Because although, unlike Shannon Alvarado, who's not willing to admit to her alcoholism or how it affects those around her, at least Brett admitted to his drug use. And, it's difficult for him to hide it. See, at first he wanted to hide it and claim that it didn't happen, and then later, when he realized that I had the evidence and had posted it, well, he came clean about that part at least. Now, as far as leeching off of people, I'm not leeching off of people. With Mandy, she doesn't have to go invest in a bunch of money in me. I finally got my disability back. It only took a year and a half the first time, and 3-4 months, something like that, this most recent time, and that's what being falsely arrested does. Now, Shannon Alvarado is involved in a lot of different situations, and it's a shame that between coming forward about those situations and throwing a tantrum because now the world knows she's an alcoholic, she chose to throw a tantrum. I also have screenshots of conversations between me and her, and recorded conversations between her and I. The thing is, it's been 3 years. Maybe she is sober now, and if she can admit that back then there was a problem, that screaming and shouting does affect people around her, it does make a lot of difference. It really does. Obviously, I hold no animosity towards these people. But there's also the fact that, it does make a lot of difference, whether you're sober or not. Because if you're not sober, you're going to blame others for your addiction. And when they try to confront you on it, you're going to take it out on them, as if they're a horrible person for saying something. And when you're in a subservient situation, and you are dependent upon that person, you just have to lay down and take it. I had to lay down and take it until Graham finally decided to keep his word, which took for fucking ever. Now, was it my fault that Graham took forever to send that? No. Is it my fault that Graham didn't keep his word when I was still in Colorado? No. That's not my fault. And I'm not going to take responsibility for the decisions of others. I was in a desperate situation, and I tried to get help. Now, there's video after video after video of the good things these people did. Now, maybe they could fess up to the good things that they did. Why is that? Because if they fess up to the good things that they did for me, then it shows that I was telling the truth. Specifically, what did you do for me? In specific, what did you do for me? If you're going to tell me about all these good things, don't tell me about a pulled pork fucking sandwich from some fucking cunt rag like Rick McCormick. Shannon Alvarado is a grown-ass adult. She can fess up to her alcoholism. And if she's done drinking, then she can admit to the fact that she was drunk back then and it did affect the people around her. Sensory processing issues are not a joke. It's not a choice, and drugs don't fix it. That's the problem about being autistic and in a state of crisis. Over there at Mandy's, I was had a pretty decent panic attack for about 4 days straight there. And of course, That also stresses out Mandy, just like me being at Rick McCormick's also stressed them out, and the fact that I didn't have my money also stressed them out. That created major issues with all of these people. Same thing with Brett Roloff. He's absolutely right about me having no money when I was there. He wanted my bow. I traded my bow so that he could go get some pot. And yeah, I admit that. I'm not going to hide it. That was in Bristol, Virginia. Another part of the complications with my stories is that many of these people were involved at multiple points. Brett was involved with the situation with me going to visit him when I was going to visit Natalie. He'd been inviting me to go there for quite a while. He was living in North Carolina at the time. He was also involved in the fact that when I got there he was in jail. I found that out afterwards. He was also involved because he kept on inviting me to go back to Virginia, and I let him know, hey, I'm not wanting to go back to Virginia. I don't want to be that close to Natalie and her family. He was also involved after that because when Natalie died, the two people that I sent stuff out to, because, well, Sarah Rubiolo is one of the people that I had rescued and, well, helped to rescue, obviously, on more than one occasion. On one occasion, she was naked underneath well, not naked, I can't say that. She was in her underpants with some dudes that were very, very questionable. And obviously, me being a non-violent guy who doesn't want to deal with that, I went and got somebody who would deal with it professionally. I went to a former prison inmate who we called Bug Out, and he went down there and took care of it. And of course, Sarah Rubiolo, later on, when she went missing, I tried to help find her. Did I find her? No, I didn't. I'm not the one who found her. I'm not the one who got her safely home to her family. I saw her on a wanted poster, missing persons poster, and I posted that missing persons poster up and obviously tried to help find her. Obviously, I had had interactions with her prior to that. I'd sent Bug Out to go take care of one of them situations. We gotta protect each other, but the kids always come first. Always. With Harley and her baby daddy, their children come first. With Shannon Alvarado, her children needed to come first. And they did have to take a back seat to her alcoholism part of the day, and part of the day her alcoholism had to give way to her children. Functional. Now this video is getting a little bit long, so I'm probably going to have to end it. And also, in probably about 2 hours or so, I got to go through the different videos and start posting up the links that are pretty important. Now, Shannon Alvarado, she can have my phone number at any point in time. She can call me up and talk to me like a person. That's not a problem. But if she can't admit how that affects those around her, it's not going to do any good. Me, I admit how not having money affected all of these situations. Thank goodness for Meg, who is my autism advocate. She helped me to get that back. She also helped me to get into housing. But her being all the way in Lincoln, and when I call her up, her telling me about her personal life and why she can't do this and why she can't do that, I have to be understanding of the fact that she can't do this and then she can't do that. So I try to find somebody else who actually can. And then when there's issues where, like with getting my paperwork from Cindy Taylor, Meg wanted to say, well, why didn't you ask me? Well, I was trying to ask you. You were busy telling me about your health issues and your family issues and why you can't help me. So, yeah, if you're telling me that you can't help me and I try to find help somewhere else, that's just the way life goes. I suppose this is a pretty long rant and ramble, so we'll end this video and continue on to the next one, because there's a lot more to say and a lot more to break down.